Hello, welcome back to the Celtic Way. Crvena Zvezda 1, Celtic 1, live full-time reaction with myself, Tony, and Ryan. Ryan, how are you? You feeling after that? A missed opportunity, methinks?
I would agree. It's a good point, especially away from home. But at the same time, I would say it is a missed opportunity, especially with the fact that Celtic took the lead through a wonderful strike from Kelechi Iheanacho after, I would maybe argue that he missed an easier chance. Great second chance opportunity for Kelechi Iheanacho. That's 2 goals in 3 games, as well as an assist, another assist for Benjamin Nygren. But, you know, despite Red Star Belgrade, Crvena Zvezda having chances, they only really had that one big chance apart from the hitting the crossbar in the first half. Celtic kept them quiet. I think there'll be a happiness that they got a point in the game. Yeah, and away from home, you know, could be a precious point, especially with home games coming up. But at the same time, I think it's a missed opportunity, and I was actually quite surprised at how, you know, maybe not disappointed is maybe not the right word for Crvena Zvezda, but they weren't as good as what I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, most definitely. First things first, do a bit of housekeeping, and we say thank you to It's Simply Furniture, who are sponsoring the daily podcast, the daily briefings, and all the podcasts for the foreseeable future. And they're located in Hillington, Glasgow. And It's Simply Furniture is an independent brand dedicated to bringing luxury, contemporary style into homes across the UK, with over a decade of experience in furniture retail. And they meticulously source only the finest pieces curated for quality, comfort, and timeless designs. From elegant sofas to statement dining sets, their handpicked collections offer exceptional value without compromising on style, and their dedicated team ensures your furniture is delivered with care right to your doorstep. And if you want to see the beauty up close, you can visit their stunning showroom. And if you mention the Celtic Way, you might even get a special in-store discount. So there you go. We say thank you to them, and the descriptions and links will be, the notifications will be, all their website addresses and stuff will be in the description of the pod. So Ryan, yep, Celtic kick off their Europa League campaign, 1 each draw. I think a lot of what we spoke about this morning, Ryan, came true, didn't it? Rio Hatate's distribution was diabolical. Celtic losing, you know, bread and butter goals which could be prevented. Iheanacho coming on and the ball sticking and holding up, giving them an out ball. You know, all that kind of stuff that we spoke about this morning on the pod, it came to fruition. And I just feel it was there for the taking for Celtic. Happy enough with that point, but it could have been so much more, Ryan. And Colby Donovan, I just think a round of applause is due to Colby Donovan. I genuinely
didn't put a foot wrong tonight.
For a young boy to go in at that level and play the way he did, absolutely brilliant. Where do you want to start, Ryan? The performance in general, Iheanacho's goal, it's a beauty. What a goal that is.
I'll start by talking about your alignment ever so slightly. If you could just move just to the left-hand side ever so slightly, just so that we're together.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect. Just so that you're in the middle, because it will annoy me for the rest of the podcast if I don't say it. So sorry, housekeeping. You had to do your housekeeping with the sponsor.
You're all right.
I'll do my housekeeping with your alignment. There we go. Absolutely perfect for the two of us. Yeah, I want to start with Colby Donovan. I thought he was, Kelechi Iheanacho will get all the headlines for the finish, and what a finish it was, especially after missing that chance a couple of minutes earlier. But if anybody's man of the match or player of the match, whatever you want to call it, it's got to be Colby Donovan for me after that game. You look at the circumstances coming into this game. Anthony Ralston back on the bench, Alistair Johnson still injured for another month or so. A lot of pressure on that young man's shoulders, 19 years old. His full debut in Europe. I know that he came on against FC Kairat, but that was as a late sub in extra time. But he played the full game, and I didn't think he put a foot wrong tonight. I think it was a real coming of age. You'll see that in the player ratings that I put out on the website. They should be out pretty soon, but I said it was a coming of age performance from Colby Donovan. I thought he was absolutely brilliant there, and so solid. Looks like a Celtic player, doesn't look like an academy player, which is always a big thing for me. Sometimes I think you can place an academy player in there and they look like a boy. He looked like a man tonight in a game full of men, which was great to see. So yeah, delighted with his contribution tonight.
I certainly grown into that jersey, Ryan, over the 3 games he's played. Tonight was his standout game, I think, in a Celtic shirt, so I'm really delighted for him. Yep, excellent stuff from him. Iheanacho, I did say this morning I would have started him, and I outlined the reason why. He had brilliant experience. He could hold the ball up. He could play guys in. He's an out-and-out striker. His goal for me was just top draw. Great run from Nygren. One of the few times Nygren actually attacked the Red Star defence and slipped him in, but his touch and then finish is just absolutely fantastic. But like everything else, Ryan, we go and lose a scrappy, horrible set-piece goal. I'm out of it, scoring 10 minutes after Iheanacho put Celtic ahead. And after Celtic's best spell in the game, Ryan, where he missed 2 or 3 chances prior to that,
Yeah.
playing an absolute blinder, keeping the ball out the net, to be fair.
And unfortunately, despite his good finish for the opener, I thought that Iheanacho squandered another 2 good chances, which in some ways, in a perverse sort of way, encourages me, because I know that in a couple of weeks' time, I think he'll be scoring those chances for Celtic because he's in the right area. I think it's all about match sharpness. He's not had a lot of game time. This is his 3rd game for Celtic, and he's still getting used to his teammates. But it seems already as if his fellow teammates are understanding where he's going to be. He was good for the assist for Tanecki, who, by the way, had a bit of a quiet game tonight, but there was respect shown to him by the home side, by the fact that there was 2 markers on him basically at all times. That is an admission that he is a danger man, although maybe Celtic should have exploited that and passed the ball about so that they could get that overlap or get that get a mismatch somewhere else, because if you've got 2 men marking, then there'll be somebody else that's free on the park. So maybe that's something that they could have done. But the 2 chances, the one before he scores, it's a great save by the goalkeeper, a tremendous save from point blank range. But I think he's got to be scoring that. The net's got to be bulging. It's a great ball in from Benjamin Nygren, and he should have an assist for that. Thankfully, he got one 5 or so minutes later. But I just think that second chance that he has, yes, it's a great reaction save from the goalkeeper, who was on the ground after it because it smacked him in the face. But I just think if he leathers that ball rather than tries to lift it over the goalkeeper, then I think he's got a better chance of scoring the goal. I'm not going to slate him too much because he did score the Celtic's goal on the night, but I just think in a couple of weeks he'll be a different player altogether. The early signs look really good for Kelechi Iheanacho, and it's clear that his head's in the right place.
I actually think he thought he was offside, Ryan, which is why he went for the wee dink and not leathered it. I genuinely, because he kind of stopped.
By whistle, Tony.
Correct, yeah, I know you do, but because I said the ball sat down and sat up for him to leather it, as you say. I think maybe just trying to be too cute, but I think maybe he was thinking, I'm not offside. I'll just see what happens here. But no, I'm not going to be hard on Iheanacho at all, because I like what he's bringing to the party. I'm not going to be hard on anybody, really. Thought defence played excellent. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales were tremendous, and Kieran Tierney, again, for the 81, 82 minutes that he was on the pitch. I feared for Tierney at one point when he went for the stretch, and I thought, oh, here we go. He's injured himself badly, but no, he got back up. But I want to talk about that midfield, Ryan, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
It was non-existent, and what we touched upon this morning, and I made a big point about it, the distribution, it was bordering on criminal, Ryan, at times. And I felt the game was there for the taking, because you rightfully said that Red Star didn't show much. And I just think with a wee bit more penetration, a wee bit of guile, and looking after the football better, Hatate and Nygren being the worst offenders in that half in particular. And then Nygren compounds in the second half with a gilt-edged chance, which he meekly side-footed into the goalkeeper's arms. The goalkeeper produced a TV save. Ryan, these are the chances at this level you should be busting the net with. And if they fall to the opposition, they punish you. I'm sorry. And that's why I feel that there was more for Celtic in this match. Happy to start with a point, but I could be happier, because I think all 3 should be in Celtic's kit bag on the way home, but they're not.
Yeah, let's hammer home the point that, or hammer home a point away from home to Crvena Zvezda, Red Star Belgrade, whatever you want to call them, is a good point, especially given the way the topsy-turvy nature of that game. And I've got to say, despite, maybe there was maybe a lethargic side coming in to the game, maybe that a bit of lethargy coming into a Europa League game, I think it felt like more than a Europa League game on the night. These were two teams that were in the Champions League playoff round, the two teams that were put out by teams that on paper at least aren't better than them. So these two teams coming up against each other in the European competition. Last season that was a Champions League tie, and even though some of the quality on the pitch was maybe befitting of a Europa League game or maybe even lower, it did feel like a big game, and it felt like a big game throughout, and I was invested in what was going on the pitch. And maybe that's where the slight disappointment is coming through, because I felt like Celtic had a chance to really get all 3 points. If they score a second goal, there's no way back for Crvena Zvezda in this game. When it's only 1-0, as much as people say 2-0 is the most dangerous lead, it's certainly 1-0 when you're away from home. And unfortunately, they didn't get that second goal, that insurance policy, which meant that the home side then got an equaliser. But apart from that equaliser, they didn't really have any other chances apart from that. And the game kind of fizzled out towards the end. I think there was an acceptance from both sides. They were like, right, let's take a point and get out of here and build upon that for the second game. But I think there was more in there for Celtic, and I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't get all 3 points in the night.
On that, I agree with Nicholas McDade wholeheartedly, and that progress is beating these teams end off. That's the way I see it as well. I watched Celtic draw away from home, and but Celtic, they were in a position of strength. And I'm going to throw this at you, Ryan. It's not a curveball by any stretch, but should Kasper Schmeichel do what he did?
I think he's got to trust his fullback there. I think he's got to trust his fullback or whoever's marking the man to go out and then put pressure on the guy coming in. By doing that, by going out and attempting to get the ball or trying to get a tackle in or trying to get the ball out of play, he then leaves that space open, and from there Arnautovic can just slide in. Carter Vickers kind of loses him in it. I think he's still thinking about the injury or the knock that he picked up about a minute beforehand, so he wasn't fully in sync with the game again, and unfortunately that cost Celtic. It was just that one moment, that one blip that cost Celtic. But I think that the goalkeeper should stay on his line there and be a presence. Obviously you'll look back on that, he's an experienced goalkeeper, he's played for so many years, but I think looking back on that he'll be quite disappointed that he moved off his line in hindsight.
But what I will say is he's saving the first half to touch that shot onto the bar was top draw. Absolutely.
And that's what he's got in his locker, Tony. We know he's a top goalkeeper, and he's been doing that for the best part of 20 years, maybe even over 20 years, since since coming through at the likes of Man City and Falkirk, etc. He's got that in his locker, even at the age of 38. And I did think there was a slight touch on it the first time I saw it. And then
Joe Hart, the commentary said,
yeah,
he's
definitely
goalkeepers union, but he said right away, I'm sure he got a touch, and then the replays proved that conclusively. So that I'm just talking about his decision making in that particular moment, which led to the goal. I just thought it was suspect, and I believe, like you, he should have stayed in his position. We also mentioned Nygren. I did mention that Nygren driving forward and his pass for Iheanacho was also excellent. So I'll credit him for that. But he's another one, Ryan. I need to see more. I need more from him. And I need him to protect the football better, because there was many times he was dispossessed and took a poor first touch. And there was one in the second half where the first booking came around, and Celtic I think they had about a 5-on-3 break, and Nygren was guilty of looking up and not having the ball fully under control, and the guys taking him out. But had he been quicker and his decision making been better, Celtic would have been in on goal again, and could have won a match with it. So it's these fine margins, Ryan, which turn that one each into a 2-1 victory, and that's what we were speaking about this morning. I want Celtic to eke a win out from these situations. I'm perfectly happy enough with a draw, but I know I could be happier because I watched my team play well against a team that actually disappointed me, and I feel a wee bit. I just felt there was more in it for Celtic, let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in my head, and I will get on and speak about Benjamin Negrin in a wee minute, but I'm trying to think of who will be more disappointed out of the two sides. Will Celtic be disappointed because they took the lead away from home, or will Red Star Belgrade be disappointed at the overall performance that they showed that they had to, get a scrappy goal in order to take anything from the game at home in their opening tie. They've got Porto and Braga up next, two difficult games. I know Celtic have got Braga next as well, but two good games against two Portuguese sides. They would have been looking at this game against Celtic as being a potential game to get all 3 points in, and if we're being frank, they were lucky to get a point in the game despite the number of chances that they had. The way that the trajectory was going in the second half, especially after Celtic scored, it looked as if there was going to be only one winner in the game, but unfortunately they allowed the home side to get back in the game, up their confidence a little bit, get into good areas, and they got that equaliser. Just on Benjamin Negrin, he is already quite a frustrating player to watch, and I did feel that frustration alongside Hatate. The two of them were really frustrating in that first half. Their ball retention, their passing accuracy was just not good whatsoever, and if it was good, then I think that Celtic would have profited in the first half with their drive and their creativity, which wasn't there, unfortunately. But to Benjamin Negrin's credit, in the second half, he's a player that, even if it's not going his way, he never lets his head drop, and he'll keep on going until the final whistle, which is what he did. And it's a tremendous assist for Iheanacho. A really lovely step over, getting into a good space, and instead of taking a wild speculative shot, he finds Iheanacho, he finds the striker in a better position, and he gets an assist for his troubles. So despite the disappointing first half, I thought he was much better in the second, and there's a reason why he stayed on for the full 90 minutes. And more importantly, it's probably the reason why Brendan Rodgers trusts him, is because he can make things happen out of nowhere.
This was a change I would have made. I would have kept Maeda on, put him to the right, and taken Hatate off at half time. I just felt that Hatate, it's what we spoke about this morning, Ryan, on the podcast, that Hatate was the player whose ball retention was shocking. And I said the other week when I was on with John, I think last Monday, I said he'd been an imposter the past few games. Nothing has made me change my opinion on that. Don't like saying that about Hatate because he's a talented boy. But at this minute in time, Celtic aren't getting anything from him. And it proves costly. One of the first things he did was give the ball away, and Red Star created a chance from it. And that's the Hatate that I was warning people about this morning. And the manager sees as well. And I know you're nodding your head and you're laughing because I know you're... And I'm not...
I agree, Tony. I completely agree.
Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, and we cannot afford that at this level. No. And for me, he's a repeat offender. It's no sinking in, and he's no learning because he keeps doing the same things over and over again in Europe, and it's costly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to be fair, I think going forward, now we've seen that midfield free in a bona fide European match in a league phase. Against Braga at home, I wonder if it'll be the same midfield or there will be some changes made. I would hope for the latter, because I think that the team needs a little bit more balance. I've actually said that domestically as well, that the team needs more balance in the midfield. Not that I think they've got a lot of steel in there when it comes to a defensive midfielder, an anchor, a number 6, even a number 8 that can play, that can do some defensive duties as well. That's just an area for me, and I was speaking off air to some people. I think it's an area that Celtic have neglected over the past couple of years, and now Callum McGregor's been good in that number 6 position, scored a lot of goals last season, but I think you're going to struggle in Europe if you don't have that bit of authority in the middle of the park. I just think it's an area that Celtic desperately need. Whether that's going to be Paulo Bernardo, Arne Engels, or somebody else in January, I'm not sure. It's an area that Celtic need to strengthen, because they've got 3 players that are very samey in the middle of the park that do the same things. And if you get 2 risk takers in particular, in Benjamin Negrin and Rio Hatate, then your chances of giving away the ball only skyrocket. And the ball retention was just very, very poor, especially in the first half tonight. I think Brendan Rodgers has got to decide between Benjamin Negrin and Rio Hatate and not play the two of them. I think it's got to be one or the other, but that's just my opinion.
Nicholas McDaid is saying Negrin is Celtic's best midfielder at the minute. Yeah, but I don't think that's a particularly high bar at the minute because I don't think any of them are playing particularly well, and I include the captain in that as well, Ryan. So I thought Negrin was poor the first half, came on to it a bit in the second half. His assist was fantastic for Iheanacho. I have praised him for that. And someone else in the comments has said that I'm blaming Negrin. I'm not blaming Negrin, I'm blaming the midfield as a whole. In the first half, it was pretty lamentable stuff. But in the second half, when we started stringing the passes together and the ball retention was better, we created 3 chances in jig time and should have taken them all. So that's the difference for me, Ryan. When it's slick and it works and they're on point, they will create chances because they're good technical players. But so often at this level, it's not. And you mentioned that you were disappointed in the home side. I was disappointed in them as well because they'll probably feel as well that the game was there for the taking.
Yeah, I completely agree with that statement. I think both teams will feel like the game was for the taking, and if they showed their A game, then they would have got more from the 90 minutes. Unfortunately for both sides, they're going away with a point, but at least no team is losing at the end of the day. I think that'll be what both sides think. They've gained a point rather than, well, for Celtic they've kind of dropped 2 points given the fact that they led in the game. But yeah, it's one of those ones that, You're invested in the Europa League now after that game, amazingly, because there was that lethargy coming into the game. It's the Europa League, it's not the Champions League. Brendan Rodgers was talking about that yesterday, about saying to move on from the Champions League. The Champions League's over. I was invested for the full 90 minutes of that game, and it just goes to show you how you just switch on once the game is there, despite protests happening maybe in the home games, a little bit of unrest off the pitch. When Celtic come to play and they play that 90 minutes, that investment is still there, and you were willing the team on to get all 3 points tonight, and for a while it looked as if that was going to be the case, but unfortunately not. But at least they didn't lose the game, and that's one positive that you've got to take. They didn't capitulate. I was worried that they were going to capitulate after losing the first goal. Those infamous clusters that we talk about of goals conceded within 2-3 minutes of each other. There was a couple of chances that Red Star had after they scored, but I thought maybe you could have done better with that. But they managed to be resolute, and they got their point in the end.
Yeah, Nicholas McDaid being the ultimate optimist, Ryan. Celtic are going to win it. There you go. So, yeah. But yeah, I think you're invested in it because it's the European competition at Celtic. We have to park the Champions League disappointment. Yeah, and the standard of opposition might not be as high and classy, but Celtic. I want Celtic to win these matches, Ryan. I really do. We want them to win every match. But I just feel that it's a missed opportunity tonight. But I'm happy enough with a point. I'm happy that they didn't get, they didn't, capitulate, but you know what I mean, on their travels. They didn't concede again after being 1-0 up. So happy enough with that. But, there's certain things that I was happy with. Kobe Donovan, we've already spoken about. Iheanacho, we've spoken about. But yeah, that midfield for me is a big problem area, and it needs shaking up, both domestically and Europe moving forward. But the green shoots of recovery there, Ryan. Past couple of performances, decent performance against Partick Thistle, scoring a few goals. And the one positive is that they created chances tonight, Ryan. It's been a long time since I've seen Celtic go away from home and create as many chances. Iheanacho will be sharper in a couple of weeks. He has to start for me now and keep building up his fitness and his sharpness. Just play him till he gets his eye in. Well, he's got his eye in, clearly, but I mean, to get that full sharpness, because that was a striker's goal, that, Ryan. That instantaneous control and finish, and putting it away from the goalkeeper who was having a stormer up until then, but he angled it away from him, and to be fair to the keeper got a touch on it, but not enough to keep it out because of the accuracy. But that's a striker's instinct, that touch to control, bang, away, stick it in the net. And Natalie McMullen's agreeing 100% that Iheanacho start right. Just build up that fitness and build up sharpness, and that'll come because he's too good a striker. I think Joe Hart was bigging him up, wasn't he? Singing his praises in the commentary at one point, so because he's played with him, obviously. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think when Iheanacho gets that bit between the teeth, he will be a real asset to Celtic, and he'll score goals.
You don't get hundreds of appearances in the Premier League without being a good player. Now, I know that the narrative surrounding Iheanacho's arrival and the way that he arrived at the club after the transfer window had shut, the fact that Sevilla had ripped up his contract so that he could join, the narrative was fully negative, wholly negative coming into it. But to be fair to Iheanacho, since stepping onto that pitch, he's been positive for Celtic, and in every game he's made an impact in leading the line as being that link-up striker. The first game, yes, he gets a penalty, but you've got to take the penalty, and from 12 yards that can be a pressure-filled environment, and that can make or break a player early on in his career. The fact that he wanted to take that penalty, his manager wanted to take the penalty, says a lot about his character, and he put it away emphatically. His second game against Partick Thistle showed his link-up play with Tenetke, and also a couple of other nice passes, and the game started that game. And then today, Celtic were looking for an impact sub to come on and make things happen, because it wasn't happening for Daizen Maeda, and I would actually maybe argue for him to be benched in the next game because he looked out of sorts. He didn't have the service, but I do agree with what Petrov and Mialbi were saying in the studio in TNT Sports, saying he did look a little bit lost out there with what he was trying to do. When Iheanacho came on, he knew what he had to do. He knew he had to hold the ball up and bring his wingers and his midfielders into the game, and that's what he did. And he was very, very effective in doing so. So that's 3 games and 3 valuable contributions. He's got to start for me against Hibs. I think he's one of the first names on the team sheet.
He's a quality footballer, Ryan, and he's got a natural position for a reason. You know, with Maeda up front, you are putting a square peg in a round hole, and he did really well last season. Nobody's taken that away from him. But he still there are times when he looks lost at centre forward. He doesn't know what runs to make. The minute Iheanacho came on, you were just like, right, you can breathe. You've got an out ball. You've got a guy who can hold it up. You've got a guy who'll play in the wingers. You've got a guy who can do what he did, produce that moment of magic to put you 1-0 up. That's everything that I spoke about why he should start this morning. The only thing I got wrong this morning, Ryan, was my prediction. I said it was 2-1 to Celtic, didn't I? After all of that. And I wish I got away. But perish the thought that you might know what you're talking about. But indeed. But no, certain things please me. There's still certain things that aren't. But I can see it coming together piece by piece, Ryan. Iheanacho being a big part of that moving forward. Tenecte, you know, it was one of those games you said he was kind of mapped out the game. They nullified his threat, clearly did their homework in that. That's fine. There'll be other days for Tenecte in Europe, the same way there was other days for Nicholas Kuhn in Europe for Celtic. So I have no qualms about that and problems with that. I thought Balikwisha did okay when he came on. He had a couple of decent interceptions, closing people down, and you know,
there was a chance right at the end that he nearly got on the end of, but it was a great interception by the Red Star defender.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued about him. I want to see, you know, more of him in terms of, you know, being that confidence player that Tenecte clearly is. You can see a wee bit more of that from him, that kind of attitude and application and desire to take a man on and want to beat him. So I think everybody's personal jury on Balikwisha's out at this minute in time. But yeah, I think
that jury's out because of how long Celtic have been linked with the player.
Yes.
Because we've heard of this player for a year now, and we wanted them to come in and instantly hit the ground running, like Tenetke has. And I actually thought it was going to be the reverse. I thought Balikwisha would hit the ground running, and Tenetke would struggle to maybe get to grip, because he was playing. Yes, he was playing in the Norwegian league, and then he moved to Sweden. But, you know, there is a step up, especially in Europe, when it comes to playing for Celtic. But he's taken it like a duck to water, whereas Balikwisha's had a bit of a slow start, despite making a good impact at the weekend, and then tonight showing some promise. My main issue, Tony, and this is an issue that is not going anywhere in my head, and it's actually annoying me a little bit, is how how many players Celtic have on the left-hand side compared to what they have on the right. I look at Celtic's options coming off the bench. You're taking Tenetke off and bringing on Balikwisha. There's 2 new signings. You're taking off Yang on the other side and you're bringing on James Forrest. These are 2 guys that have been there. One's been there for over a decade. The other one's been there for, 3 years now. It just seems there's no balance on the sides. There seems to be so much strength, so much new quality on the left, whereas the right is a little bit malnourished at this moment for me.
Being neglected.
It might mean that a little bit neglected and malnourished, and I just think that's planning by Celtic as a whole. They should have been signing right-sided players, especially after Nicholas Kuhn left the club. He was the first choice at right wing. There was no debate about it, apart from maybe a couple of games here or there. But now it's up for grabs that right hand side unless somebody plays out of position, either that being Tenetke, Maeda, or Balikwisha. So it's a bit of a problem area for me still. Although I did think that Yang did okay tonight with some of the fouls that he won on that side. Not much attacking wise, but he understood his role. I thought he did it okay tonight.
We are very lopsided, I think you would call it, aren't we? That lop being towards the left-hand side, but there you go. Yeah, and everybody knows the reasons why. Celtic failure to improve those positions in the transfer window. Don't need to go over all of that ground, but there you go. Over 800 joining us, Ryan, live. Thank you very much, guys. 809 people. We really thank you for coming on. It is late at night, but we appreciate your company. Hope you enjoyed the game. Hope you enjoyed the result. Hope you enjoyed myself and Ryan chatting about it as we always do, before, after, and every day on the Celtic way. We'll give you our honest opinions. You may like them, you may not, Ryan. It is what it is, isn't it?
Certainly isn't. Be a boring place if we all had the same opinion as well, and that's what makes these shows so effective. Is that everybody's got a different opinion on different things, but we've all got the one wish and want, and that's for Celtic to do well. And they got a point away from home in a tough ground against decent opposition, but there is still that linger in my head that Celtic could have got all 3 tonight.
You're going to sleep thinking it's a missed opportunity, aren't you? Happy enough with the point, and they got their campaigns up and running, and they've got a point on the board, but you will lie in your bed tonight and think, could it have been all 3? And with a wee bit more composure in the final third and sticking away the chances and being a bit more clinical, it could have been. Everybody says you don't usually complain about getting a point away from home, so that's fine. Need to make next Thursday count, Ryan. Press that home advantage. Make sure that counts for something. And yep, Celtic's Euro campaign is up and running. We are now invested in it, Ryan, aren't we? And I didn't like what TNT did before the game. They dredged up the memories of Seville, and I haven't really watched the highlights of Seville since 2003, since I was there in the flesh. And I wasn't aware, because I had the sound down, I wasn't aware they were going to do it, and then all of a sudden it came flashing up on my screen. It was, flashbacks to one of the greatest things I've ever experienced as a Celtic supporter, supporting them in a European final, but the worst experience as a supporter losing, because I've said this many times before, losing a European final, it's not the stage for losers, but yeah, it's some wonderful memories for those who were also there as well in the journey, but it's the end that matters, Ryan, lifting the trophy. And if you're interested, the finals in Istanbul this year, Ryan, can Celtic get to the latter stages again? Can they go to Istanbul?
Look, it's 7 games to find out if they can get through this initial stage. But I'm gonna keep a tin lid on it just now and see how we do some of the home games before making any snap judgments.
Yes, myself. I was cursing TNT for doing that, flashing up Seville, but they had 2 guys who played in the final in Seville, so I guess maybe it was give them some memories as well. But there you go, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Over 800 people. That's tremendous numbers for a live stream. We know you can go elsewhere as well, but thank you for your company. Crvena Zvezda 1, Ryan, Celtic 1, or Red Star Belgrade 1, Celtic 1, if you're old school like me. We'll take the point, Ryan, won't we?
we'll take the point and we'll head up the road.
Yeah. And we say thank you to It's Simply Furniture for their sponsorship with the pod. Guys, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we shall reconvene tomorrow where we'll talk about it all again. I think John's on. Is John on the pod, Brian? I don't know who's on the pod.
You put me on the spot here. I'm not sure who's on tomorrow.
I'm not sure. I know it's not me because I'm on my day off. I'll be back on Friday, I believe. But there you go. Ryan, thank you so much. Stellar contribution, as always. Guys, thank you for the comments. We try and flick some comments up here and there as we're going along, but we just get indulged. We just always get indulged in the chat, don't we, Ryan?
We do.
Indeed. Have a good one, guys. See you tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks, guys.